Good afternoon, Sunim, and thank you for answering my question and giving me another chance to ask. I think for me, I suddenly kind of had a couple uh, realizations or like situations where I started realizing I'm getting older. I'm hitting 40 now, and the time just kind of shocked me. I was like, oh my God, I'm already at this age, and also I kind of did some like review of my life, and it's kind of like and also my current evaluation too, like how I'm working right now, and I was thinking like, is this really how I want to live, and is there something else I need to be doing? I just kept like doing like a calculations and reviewing, and then I realized at some point there's like a part of me that is thinking that maybe I should start considering or thinking about retirement like a little bit earlier, or reduction of workload sooner than expected, to like consider or pursue other kind of projects or things. And that idea kind of came about because I even like just asking for a vacation, like asking for a vacation to go to the India trip that you're planning in January. It was like it took like a lot of effort and kind of begging to the work to even be able to take time off. And then in the Jungto Society, or the organization you're running, there's a lot of volunteer projects, and there are a lot of requests, and there's a lot of things like I feel bad, like I can't really volunteer or participate in it. And then also because of me, like work wise, I also realized that going to work, there's always an exchange for making money. So like for making money, they're not going to like give money for doing a stress-free job. It's always going to be like a stressful job. So I feel like in parts ways, I'm like trading my health for making money. And that also kind of like was sort of like eating at me or bothering me as well. And so ultimately, my main question was just when is it really a good time to retire? But some of those factors was what's kind of going on in my mind.
네. 은퇴하기 좋은 때는 특별히 없다라고 할 수도 있고 언제나 좋다라고도 할 수 있습니다.
I think my answer is twofold, right? I think there's no particular good time to retire. And also my other answer is that you can retire at any time.
그러나 우리가 특별히 좋은 때라고 굳이 정한다면 두 가지 경우가 있습니다.
But if we have to pick a time in which, it's more favorable to retirement, I guess we can choose two ways.
어떤 상황으로 더 이상 일을 할 수 없을 때입니다.
One is a situation that does not allow you to work for it further.
건강이 나빠졌다든지 직장이 폐쇄됐다든지.
Because of health, or maybe your job disappeared.
더 이상 일을 하고 싶어도 할 수 없는 상황일 때 안타까워하지 말고 이때가 은퇴할 때다 이렇게 생각하는 거예요.
In a situation where you can no longer work despite your desire to work, instead of crying over it, you say, oh, this is an optimal time to retire.
상황을 탓하게 되면 내가 좀 좌절하거나 초라하게 됩니다.
Because if you start blaming the situation for your state, then you fall into despair or you fall into discouragement.
그런 주어진 상황을 적극적으로 받아들여서 은퇴할 때구나 이렇게 받아들이는 게 좋습니다.
Basically, accept the bad situation as is and turn it around and saying, well, this is a good time to retire.
두 번째는 내가 하고 싶지 않거나 그만해야 되겠다고 생각할 때입니다.
And second is when you no longer want to work or decide that this is a good time to retire.
네, 아마 지금 질문자는 언제 내가 그만두면 좋겠느냐 이렇게 생각하는 것 같습니다.
I think your question really is, when's a good time for me to quit working?
네, 자기가 봐서 결정하는 수밖에 없습니다.
Then it's really up to you to decide.
그러나 세상의 일은 늘 장단점이 있습니다.
But there are always pros and cons to your decisions.
돈을 버는 것과 내 시간을 갖는 것 사이를 견준다든지
Perhaps you have to weigh pros and cons of more money or more time.
이렇게 늘 두 가지를 두고 이렇게 견주게 됩니다.
So everything is you have to compare the pros and cons.
부처님도 출가하실 때 왕이 되는 것과 출가해서 수행자가 되는 것을 이렇게 견주다가 많은 시간을 보냈습니다.
Even Buddha himself, he actually spent a lot of time deciding whether to actually be a king, stay in the palace and be a king, or leave the palace and be an ascetic.
이럴 때는 조금 기다리면 됩니다.
At this point, you should just wait.
그러면 두 가지 경우가 나타납니다.
And as you wait, two situations might come to you.
더 이상 일을 할 수 없는 경우가 되든지
And one situation is in which you no longer can work.
내가 어떤 선택이 아주 분명해지든지
Or second situation is where your choice become much more clearer.
지금 두 가지 다 아니라는 얘기예요.
What you're saying right now is that you're in neither of those situations.
그럴 때는 조금 더 기다려야 합니다.
Then you have to wait till the situation matures.
지금 선택하게 되면 나중에 후회하게 됩니다.
Because if you choose now before the situation is all the conditions are mature, then you are bound to regret your choice.
나이가 50이 돼 보면 40대는 한창입니다.
When you hit 50, then 40s will seem young.
근데 40대는 인생이 이제 다 돼가는 것 같은 기분이 듭니다.
But when you hit 40 for the first time, you think your life is coming to an end.
50대는 인생이 다 돼가는 것 같은데 60이 돼서 돌아보면 50대가 한창입니다.
And you still think that, when you hit 50, your life is coming to an end. But when you hit 60, looking back towards 50s and 50s, you're still in your prime.
70대가 되면 60대가 한창입니다.
When you hit 70, 60s, you're still in prime.
내가 지금 70인데 80 이상 된 선배들을 만나면 저 나이를 물어보고 이제 한참 일할 때구나 이렇게 말합니다.
I'm 70 right now, but when I see my senior monks who are in their 80s, they tell me that, you're in the prime of your life. You should work harder.
그래서 정해진 때는 없습니다.
Therefore, there's no set time for you to retire.
저는 적절하게 기본적인 생활이 된다면 자신이 가진 기술을 돈을 버는 데만 쓰는 것보다는 필요한 곳에 더 널리 쓰일 수 있는 길을 더 권장하고 싶습니다.
But if I were to recommend the path forward, as long as your essentials are taken care of, I would recommend that you spend your discretionary time and energy, to add value to those people or to those places that need them.
한국에서는 교사가 남습니다. 그래서 교사가 되려면 치열한 경쟁을 해야 합니다.
There are too many teachers in Korea. So in order to become a teacher, to employ as teacher, there's a huge competition, for example.
인도의 저희 학교에는 교사가 부족합니다.
But we have a lack of teachers, qualified teachers in our school in India.
그런데 왜 남는데 계속 경쟁해 가면서 하려고 할까요?
So even though there's too many teachers, supply of teachers, why do you want to stay in a place that has too many teachers and compete?
돈 때문입니다.
Because of money.
그렇기 때문에 저는 오히려 교사가 필요한 곳에 교사가 가야 한다고 생각합니다.
But I believe the teachers should go to where teachers are needed.
어쩌면 미국에서는 의사가 부족하기보다는 남을지 모르겠습니다.
Maybe in the U.S. you have too many doctors instead of lack of doctors.
그러나 제가 방문했던 세 곳에는 다 의사가 없습니다.
But the 3 places, locations that I just visited over the last 3 weeks, there are no doctors.
왜 의사가 없느냐? 그곳에는 수입이 되지 않기 때문입니다.
Why aren't there doctors there? Because they can't make a living.
그러니까 기본적인 생활이 된다면 저는 나를 필요로 하는 곳에 가서 일하는 게 좋지 않을까 생각합니다.
So if your essentials can be taken care of, then I think it's better for us to go to those places that can actually really use our skill sets.
근데 이 기술을 가진 사람은 은퇴하기가 매우 어렵습니다.
But if you do have a specialized skill set, it's very hard for you to retire.
왜냐하면 60, 65세에서 은퇴해도 그 기술을 가지고 계속 돈을 더 벌 수 있습니다.
Because even if you retire at 60 or 65, you can still continue making money based on your skill set.
그래서 기술을 가진 사람들은 80까지 은퇴를 하지 못합니다.
So people with specialized skill set can't really retire until their 80s.
그래서 저는 보통 사람이 은퇴할 나이 60이나 65 전후에서 은퇴해서 그 기술을 가지고 한 10년 내지 20년은 세상을 위해서 썼으면 좋겠다 하고 권장하고 있습니다.
So what I recommend is that, retire around 60 and 65, like anybody else, but use the rest of your life up to 20 plus years to use your specialized skill set to add value to others.
지금 이제 은퇴를 고민하기보다는 지금 일에 오히려 집중하면 어떨까 싶네요.
So I recommend, instead of worrying about retirement, you should focus more on your profession.
그리고 그것이 너무 힘든다면 저는 시간을 좀 줄이고 주말 시간을 이용해서 또는 1년에 한두 달은 봉사하는 것을 확보하는 그런 어떤 직업 형식을 마련하는 게 필요하다고 생각합니다.
However, if your professional pace of work is too much for you to handle at this point, try to draw that down a little bit and spend maybe a month to 2 months engaged in volunteer work through the year.
네, 그러니까 회사나 병원하고 계약을 할 때 월급을 조금 적게 받더라도 그런 조건을 제시하고 근무할 수도 있지 않습니까?
Perhaps with your employer, you can negotiate with your hospitals or with the offices, even taking less money, but obtaining more freedom of time.
I think some of it you kind of hit the nail on the head because there was a couple situations. It might have been just recent because one was I have a recent colleague or psychiatrist, and she was working all the way until 70, and she just recently retired this year, but it was due to her husband's failing health, and now she has to kind of focus on taking care of her husband's health, and it's partially due to like old age, and that shocked me, and I think it also shocked me again because I have an uncle that also did financially well. He was a plastic surgeon. He was well renowned, and then he just kept working and working until he was about to start his own private practice clinic. He was like one of the most famous plastic surgeons in Korea, and then suddenly he got a stroke, and then he couldn't work anymore, and he's bedridden, and then I was like, I look at both of those situations, like I don't want to wait too long until like my health fails. And at least, yeah, you're probably right. Like I think like leaving a little bit when I'm capable, and then using some of my like last bit of health or whatever to like, that's right, like help other folks or add value to those who need it. That I think that might be what I need to do. And then the negotiating the free time, it's hard because like my work kind of really desperately needs me, and that's they're happy with me, and it's even to the point where they're saying like, yeah, if you want to like reduce your workload, it's only because you want to reduce your workload. It's not, you're doing fine, and we're happy with what you're doing. But I also see in the need and desperation at our clinics. So, and I like my coworkers, and they've been good to me, and so it's also, I'm kind of torn to kind of leave them hanging, I guess is the best word. But there's that part of me that that does want to do what you say, which is like spend time to do more time to do volunteering, and kind of reach out to those in need.
열심히 하고 그만두고 다음에는 발란티어를 하는 이런 길도 있지만은요. 현재 하고 있는 일을 예를 들면 일주일이라면 4일은 직장에 다니고 3일은 발란티어를 한다든지 10달은 직장에 다니고 2달은 발란테어로 일한다든지 저는 이렇게 약간 겸하면서 여유를 가질 때 그 발란테어 일은 남을 돕기도 하지만은 내가 나를 돌아볼 수 있는 그런 시간도 갖기 때문에 조금 여유를 갖는 삶으로 그 여유란 게 그냥 논다는 게 아니라 일을 돈을 버는 일 조금 하고 그다음에 나누는 일을 조금 같이 섞어서 하면 건강에도 좋고 심리적 안정에도 매우 좋은데 물론 세상은 그렇게 하는 거를 잘 허용하지 않지만은 그러나 내가 수입을 팍 줄일 거를 각오하고 상담을 하면 저는 충분히 길이 있다 이렇게 생각합니다.
Although the current professional environment, and the business environment we live in does not make this easy, but try to negotiate and kind of manage the time that your life has to spend on, right? So for example, work for 4 days, but take 3-day weekends to do what you wish and volunteer as you will, or maybe work hard for 10 months and take 2 months to do volunteer work and do as you will. So spend time in a way that brings balance back into your life, as well as giving value to those in needs, but at the same time, conversely, you know that you get value in return and sense of meaning by through your volunteer work.
그러니까 60까지 죽도록 일만 하고 나머지 20년을 발란티어를 할 거냐, 80까지 계속 일을 하면서 일부는 발란티어를 할 거냐. 제가 볼 때는 이 두 가지를 겸하는 게 건강에도 좋고 오히려 여러 면에서 더 낫지 않을까 싶어요.
So instead of having a clean boundary, work hard for 60 years, then volunteer for 20 years, work till 80 years, but at the same time, modulate your work schedule so that you can volunteer in parallels. I think in a way that's much better for your balance as well as overall sense of well-being.
그리고 또 이렇게 다른 사람을 이렇게 돈을 받고 돕지만은 그러나 돈을 버는데 마음을 가지면 일이 되고 다른 사람을 돕는 데 더 초점을 맞추면 발란티어나 같기 때문에 저는 직장 생활을 나를 필요로 하는 사람을 위해서 기꺼이 내가 봉사한다 이런 즐거운 마음으로 가벼운 마음으로 일하는 것이 매우 중요하다고 생각합니다.
Also, even if in the work that you do, you're helping people, but however, if your primary focus is on earning money, then the act of helping people in your profession becomes work. However, you can do the same exact thing, but your primary focus can be on helping the people, and the money is secondary. Then you're actually adding value to those in need, and deriving that same sense of meaning as you would volunteering, but while doing the work that you are doing.
대부분 스트레스를 받고 돈을 벌게 되면 스트레스를 푼다고 또 그 돈을 써야 합니다.
If we obtain stress, we gain stress in trying to earn money, then we spend the same money in order to relieve ourselves of that stress.
그래서 좋은 집을 사거나 좋은 차를 사거나 뭐 골프를 치거나 좋은 술을 먹거나 이런 자기의 돈을 버는 그 힘든 것을 보상을 그런 것으로 받는다고 생각하기 때문에 주로 스트레스를 받으면서 돈을 많이 버는 사람은 사치나 낭비벽이 강한 이유가 거기에 있습니다.
And because we get so stressed out trying to earn this money, we buy a big house, we buy a nice car, we play golf in luxurious resorts, we drink the most expensive liquor as a sense of compensation because for being stressed out so much for earning that money.
그래서 조금 아직 은퇴한다기보다는 자기의 시간을 조금 이렇게 나눠 가지는 조절을 해보는 시도를 한번 해보면 좋겠어요.
So instead of thinking about retiring, maybe try to modulate your schedule a bit so you can manage your time better for your sense of well-being.
그리고 회사 조건이나 사정이 현재 도저히 안 된다면 아직 40대니까 한 10년은 그러면 돈보다는 그 지금 전공의 일에 사람들을 돕는 일에 연구하고 사람들을 돕는 그 치료하는 그런 일에 오히려 기꺼운 즐거운 마음을 갖고 집중해 보는 것도 하나의 방법입니다.
And if the current situation in your profession and the demand for your services does not allow you to modulate your time, as you wish, maybe then since you're still young, maybe up to 50, really focus on your craft and, really approach your helping others in your craft and research from a sense of joy, from a place of joy.
항상 새로운 것을 연구하고 실험하는 이런 마음을 가지면 훨씬 더 스트레스가 적어집니다.
If you're approaching your work with a sense of exploration and excitement for something new you might discover, then your stress level goes way down.
네.
Yeah, I agree that the residency program that I participate in, that actually feels really cool because even though the pays would never match the amount of work that we have to do extra work for it. I agree that like having something like that is actually helpful. So thank you.
네. 잠깐 소감 듣겠습니다.
Let's go back to the questioners to get a little comments from them.
All right, thank you, Sunim. And it was good to hear. It was a little bit surprising for me because one of my coworkers actually showed up to the meeting. I wasn't expecting one of my leaders. So, but I appreciate the kind of the clarity, and I'll just continue to just stick with the job and wait until more clarity comes.